Okay, guys, I decided to go back. I wanted to go back to the quiz. I'm going to move my little thingy here. So if you guys want to take the quiz, you can just pause it right here, and then you can see how you would score on the quiz. So you can pause this page, and then I'll flip to the next page. You can pause that one and read it. Score yourself on that one. And then this one, all of which we read in class. And then here it tells you how to actually score your answers. And you can see which group you would fit into. Hopefully not the mad, bad, and dangerous to chickens. And then we started reading the beginning care and housing for poultry chicken edition. And this is where we left off, feeders. Raise the feeder to the height of the chicken's backs and avoid locating it under a roost or a branch. Chickens will defecate, poop, in their own food if the feeder is lower. Oh, so you have to keep their feet up high so they don't poop in it. Consider adding a bit of food grade diatomaceous earth, fossilized remains of diatoms, to the feed to reduce flies and kill internal parasites. Water. Chickens must have access to fresh water at all times. They dehydrate dangerously quickly without it, even in cooler seasons. Check your chicken's water at least once per day. If you experience freezing temperatures in the winter, which we don't here in LA, check your chicken's water more frequently, breaking up ice or refilling with warm water as needed. Grit. As chickens do not have teeth, they eat sand and small stones to fill their gizzards. When they swallow their food, it is sent to the gizzard where the grinding stones pulverize the food. Where's the gizzard? Okay, so here's where it goes in. Oh, and here's where the little stones are in the gizzard. If your chickens range outside, they will likely find sufficient grit on their own. If they are kept primarily inside a barn, you should provide a container of grit for them to eat as needed. And then here we see where they breathe. They're their little lungs. Okay. Scratch, scraps, and other treats. Chickens do not require treats, but they certainly enjoy them. Favorites include cracked corn, black oil sunflower seeds, and mealworms. You can also collect garden pests such as slugs and cut worms for your chickens, or supplement your chicken's feed with kitchen scraps such as vegetables, leftover low-fat and sugar-free dairy products, and even unspoiled cooked meats. Chickens are omnivores. Here are things that are okay. Here are things you should not feed them. Dessert, citrus peels, coffee, moldy food, and candy, herbs, fish, or onions. What not to feed? Avoid desserts, citrus peels, coffee grounds, moldy foods, and junk food, and limit scraps to a small portion of your chicken's meals. Strong smelling foods such as onions, fish, and herbs should be avoided as they may flavor the chicken's eggs. Interesting. I wouldn't want fish tasting eggs. Okay, and then there's a worksheet to see how long the 50-pound bag of feed will last your flock. I have how many chickens. Each chicken will eat a 1/4 pound of food per day. So you take the 50 pounds divided by the number of chickens to get how many pounds per chicken. Then you take your pounds per chicken and divide it by a 1/4 pound per day. So you know how many days before you need more food. And then how long will a 4-gallon water last? I have how many chickens? Each day, a chicken will drink approximately 2 cups of water per day. 64 cups divided by the number of chickens equals the cups per chicken. The number of cups per chicken divided by 2 cups a day, this is how many days I'll need to refill it. Note, even if your waterer should last your flock for several days, you must still check it in case the water has been dirtied, spilled, etc. Please submit your completed worksheet to your instructor in the envelope provided. Your results will be sent along with lesson 2 and any supplemental materials. Oh my goodness. Definitely giving some love there to Henrietta. Ooh, here, Henrietta's not looking so happy and she's looking a little surprised. Wonder what's going on. Oh, this says quiet. I think this is the library. Oh my goodness, and look, she's reading a book to Henrietta. Henrietta is not looking so excited by that. Blackbird Farm, June 17th, 2014. Mariposa Garcia Gonzalez, Land of the Dead. Querida abuelita, I'm really sorry you're dead. I bet you now you can believe in anything, and you are a good listener too. And I don't think I need to worry Great Uncle Jim with all this. This morning, I got up early, earlier than anyone else, and I went to check on Henrietta. I dumped out her old water and got her some new water and gave her some of that layer crumble in a little plastic tub with a few sunflower seeds, because I know she loves them. I looked in the nest boxes, but there weren't any eggs in there, and no chicken poop either, thank goodness. Then I put my gloves on and I got a trowel and I kind of scraped the chicken poop off the floor of the hen house into a bucket and dumped it in the blackberry bushes. I don't think anything could hurt those bushes. It was smelly and gross, but there was no way I was going to make Henrietta sleep in there with it. I found some straw in a corner of the barn and all tied together with wire into a block. I pulled some of it out and put it in the nest boxes and on the floor of the hen house. My library book says you can just take out the part that the chicken poop is on and replace it when you need to. I bet the first person to figure that out was really happy about it. Then, when I knew Henrietta was all set for the day, I had tidied up the edge of the junk pile so she wouldn't trip over it, and I found some dandelions in a different part of the yard and picked them for her, since she really likes them. And when I'd drawn one last picture of her, I left her there and went inside to talk to my parents about her. I really tried. But when my parents found out there was a small white chicken back by the old hen house, they insisted on calling the lady who'd come looking for chickens to see if it was hers. I reminded them she'd tried to break into the hen house. I told them this was probably Great Uncle Jim's chicken. I even took them out to meet Henrietta, crossing my fingers that her water jar wasn't empty or anything like that. But Mom wanted to know how I'd feel if I was searching for my chickens and someone had them. I'd feel terrible. But Agnes told me not to give Henrietta away and not to tell anyone she's unusual. And I sure didn't want a thief to use Henrietta's powers for evil purposes. I had to find a way to keep her. But Mom talked about what the neighbors would think if they'd found out we'd had someone else's livestock and hadn't given it back right away. And I knew I'd lost. Because you know how Mom is about not being seen as one of those problem people. You guys must have had a hard time when you were young, Abuelita. Because even though Mom was born here and speaks perfect English, she says you have to be twice as honest and neighborly when everyone assumes you're an undocumented immigrant. And she won't have me growing up with problems like that. What was it like really, Abuelita? I know about ICE. And I know they can't take away citizens like me and Mom away, so you won't scare me. Too bad I never asked you before. Mom won't tell me till I'm older. But we were talking about the chicken and about my mom making up her mind. The only luck I had was that the lady hadn't given my parents her phone number or email address or anything. So Mom decided Dad and I should go back to town to the library to look up the lady's number, while she got some work done for once. Mom's been having a rough time this week with this week's articles, what with all these interruptions. Dad and I were both quiet as we drove into town. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with Henrietta. Hide her? Like Anne Frank, maybe in the barn? But Anne Frank knew to stay quiet and hide, and she still got caught. I think my dad felt kind of guilty because he gave me my shoulders a hug when we went to the library and said, "Buck up, Sylph. There will be other chickens eventually." I didn't bother to answer. He really didn't understand. Mrs. O'Malley was the only one there. She spends a lot of time trying to help me find useful chicken books. When I first got my library card and wrote Blackberry Farm on the form, she didn't know I was Dad's daughter or Jim Brown's grandniece. And she asked me how long my family was working there. I think she still feels bad about it. Dad and I walked up to the librarian's desk. I handed Ms. O'Malley my old library books. Ms. O'Malley smiled hard at me. How can I help you today, Sophie? My throat didn't feel like I could get any words through it, so I didn't say anything. Dad smiled back. It seems we need a phone number for Sue of Briar Farm, please. We found a little white chicken she lost. Ms. O'Malley raised her eyebrows. Sue Grigson hasn't got any bantam whites and never has. Do you still want her phone number, or can I help you find the true owner? I held my breath and crossed my fingers. Can't hurt, might help, especially with the magic chickens. She told us she had a mixed flock and some went missing, Dad frowned. Miss O'Malley snorted. Sue has never raised anything but Rhode Island Reds. I swear on my honor as the vice president of our American Poultry Association chapter. You may not be a chicken person, sir, but if it isn't big, dark, reddish brown bird, it isn't Sue Grigson's. It's a white hen about this big. I held her my hands to show her how big Henrietta is. Way smaller than a standard Rhode Island Red, I hoped. She has yellow legs and a little red comb. Bantam white leghorn, from the sound of it, she nodded. The only one with bantam white leghorns in this area was Jim Brown. Well, aside from Redwood Farm, she sighed. When I found out Jim had died, I went over to make sure his flock was cared for, but they were nowhere to be found. There had been storms that week, and I figured they scattered when the food ran out. She put her hands on her hips and looked at Dad. You inherited the farm and all its contents, right? Dad nodded slowly. Miss O'Malley smiled at me, a real smile. Then the chicken's your responsibility, unless you're not able to care for a single chicken. No, of course we can, Dad said uncomfortably. We just wanted to make sure. Very good, then. The poultry show will be coming up in July. There will be a benefit auction of any unwanted birds then, if you really can't keep her. But I know your daughter's been studying poultry, so you shouldn't have any trouble, Miss O'Malley said briskly. Dad didn't really have anything left to say then. Not even when I checked out the rest of the books on chicken care, or when I told Miss O'Malley I was thinking about naming the chicken Henrietta, and she said that sounded suitable. I checked out the Hoboken chicken emergency again, just to be sure. When we got back to our door, Dad helped me cut the padlock off the door and screw the hinges back on so that Henrietta could be safe in her house again. Then he helped me pull an old wooden chair out of a different junk pile and prop it up with a log so I could sit on it, even though the leg is kind of broken. He hung around for a while, but I'm better at waiting than he is, and we only found one chair. So after listening to me read the first few chapters of the Hoboken chicken emergency to Henrietta to see what she thought, he went inside to explain it all to Mom. I noticed he didn't laugh at the funny parts, though. I'll see what she thinks at dinner, I guess. I'll cross my fingers again under the table. Te quiero, Soficita. P.S. Once I know for sure I can keep her, I'm going to see if that black streak could really be another super chicken. P.P.S. Did you know that chickens look really funny when they run? Kind of like a Tyrannosaurus Rex combined with an airplane. If an airplane flapped its wings really hard and squawked. I love having a chicken. June 17th, 2014. To Agnes, Redwood Farm Supply Company, Gravenstein, California, 95472. Dear Agnes, I told my parents about Henrietta. There were some complications while they wanted to tell that lady who tried to steal her. She said she'd lost her chickens. But Ms. O'Malley got Dad straightened out. Why didn't you tell me that lady only has Rhode Island Reds? Anyway, it was a good thing you sent me your chicken class, because when Dad told Mom and she pointed out I didn't know anything about chickens and she didn't have time to teach me, I told them I was already signed up for your free curriculum so I could study over the summer. Mom is very big on education. She looked impressed when I showed her your worksheet and my chicken books from the library. She looked them over carefully, and then she told Dad that if it was true, that if we're going to stay, oh, she told Dad it was true that if we're going to stay, I ought to learn something about farm life. Dad, who seems kind of depressed lately, he hasn't gotten a new job yet, and I think the farm's in worse shape than he expected. So there's no way we'll have money for chicken feed or supplies this year. If we had any money left, I think we might be moving somewhere else soon. But don't worry, we don't have anywhere to go. So I showed him my worksheet too, and I told him about the chicken food in the metal garbage can in the barn and said one small chicken probably doesn't eat much, but I would calculate it anyway if he would help me weigh the can. No reason to bring up the black streaked chicken yet. I also pointed out that it's summer and there's nothing to do, I don't know anybody, and every kid I ever met was already going to know this stuff. So I might as well learn something before I tried going to school here. I went up to my attic room then, since I couldn't get any more words out without crying, and I read my library books for a while. Mom and Dad came up a little while later. They both gave me big hugs. They decided I could try keeping Henrietta as long as we have chicken food, but that we just don't have enough extra money for pets right now. But don't worry, I'll find a way to earn some money for more feed so Henrietta and the other chicken can be safe. I'll try to catch it tomorrow. Sincerely, Sophie. Ooh. June 18th, 2014. Agnes, Redwood Farm Supply Company. Dear Agnes, I have to tell you, even though I want to be an excellent chicken keeper, I wasn't so sure this course was going to work out. I mean, I don't want it to be too easy, but when I started working on lesson 1, I had to borrow my mom's dictionary 5 times just to figure out what you were talking about. Then, once I knew what you were saying, I got worried that maybe I was feeding Henrietta all wrong. I mean, I don't know exactly how old she is, and I don't want to damage her kidneys. And what if the stuff I found wasn't right? But when I looked in her nest box this morning, there was something that looked like a glass egg. Although I guess it probably isn't really glass if Henrietta laid it. It looks like glass, and it feels like glass, though. I can't see anything inside, and I can see all the way through it. Don't worry. I put it in the fridge right away in the back of the vegetable drawer so my parents won't mess with it. So I guess she's a laying hen. She seemed pretty proud of herself, strutting around and squawking her head off when I told her she did a good job. It was a good thing I'd already told Mom and Dad about her. You could probably already hear her all the way at the library. I still don't know when Great Uncle Jim bought that food or anything, but it would still be okay for now, right? And I don't know how many pounds I had, so I couldn't calculate how long it would last me. I couldn't lift the garbage can either, so I had to get help. Turns out I have 33 pounds of layer crumble in that can. Well, a little less because the can's weight, but I didn't want to empty it to check that. So I should have enough for the whole summer. I did the math part. I'm very good at math, and you explained how to do it all very clearly. I was pretty sure I got everything right, but I had my mom look it over just in case. And she said she was very impressed with my work. My mom doesn't just say things like that. And my dad liked that I learned about the diatoms. We made up a song about diatomaceous earth while we were driving to the post office today, just because we thought it sounded funny. So I guess it was okay in the end. I'm glad you had a list of what chickens should and shouldn't eat too. I found an old yogurt container to put in the fridge so we could save our scraps for Henrietta. Great Uncle Jim really didn't throw anything away ever, or even recycle it. And I labeled it so that Dad wouldn't forget. I'll remind him when we cook and do the dishes too. Mom will like that. She hates to waste things. I think I'm ready for lesson 2 now. Sincerely, Sophie. P.S. It was pretty exciting to find that glass egg in the nest box, like finding a treasure. I love having a chicken. Okay, and I think that is where we will stop. So we will pick up next week with our next letter to Great Uncle Jim. I hope you guys are having a great week and enjoying our story. I can't wait for her to catch that black chicken. I'm wondering what that's all about. What does it do? aside from just be super speedy? You could imagine if you had a chicken with a superpower, what would you give it? Something to think about. Bye.